Okay, this is Algebra 1. We're going to be looking at midpoint today. When you have the midpoint of a line, it's exactly what it sounds like. If you have a line, the point in the middle is your midpoint. At the ends are what we call end points. Okay, they won't both be the same letter, but they both will be an end point, my bad. Okay, there is a formula. It'll be on your formula chart for end of course for the midpoint. x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Basically, all you're doing is finding the average of the x's and the average of the y's. So looking at number 1, what you're going to do is you're going to take your x values. Now, if you can't keep it straight, you might want to go ahead and label them. You're going to put your x values together. So 0 plus negative 6, all divided by 2. Remember that when you are putting something like this in the calculator, you need to do the top part, 0 plus negative 6. You need to press enter before you divide by 2. If you don't, you're going to get the wrong answer. It's not going to tell you it's the wrong answer. It's going to look all fine, but it won't be right. So my x value of the midpoint is negative 3. Same thing for the y's. You're going to say 2 plus negative 4 all over 2. So you take your calculator and 2 plus negative 4, enter, then divide by 2, and you get negative 1. So negative 3, negative 1 is your midpoint. So to set it up for number 2, you're going to take your x's, 4 plus 8, and divide by 2, and you're going to take your y's, 2 plus 26, and divide by 2. If at any point I'm going too fast, feel free to pause the video. So 4 plus 8 in your calculator is 12, then divided by 2 you would get 6. 2 plus 26 in your calculator is 28, divided by 2 and you get 14. So 6, 14 is your midpoint. So to set up number 3, it's going to be 5 plus 5 all over 2, and it's going to be negative 2 plus 8 all over 2. Take your calculator, 5 plus 5, enter, divided by 2, and you get 5 for the x value. Then go back to your calculator, negative 2 plus 8, enter, divided by 2, and you get 3 for the y value. Last one like this, you add up your x's, 6 plus 14, it's always over 2. And your y's, 5 plus 7, always over 2. Take your calculator, and we had 6 plus 14. Make sure and press enter before you divide by 2. So you have 10 for your x value, and then 5 plus 7, enter, divided by 2, and you get 6 for your y value. So midpoint is pretty straightforward. So now what if they give you one of the missing endpoints and the midpoint, and they want the other one? So what they have in effect done is they've given you this and this, and they want to know what this is. It's the middle, so this distance and this distance has to be the same. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the midpoint minus the endpoint, and you're going to get a number. So then you're going to take the midpoint plus whatever that number was, and you're going to get your answer. So you do this for the x, and then you do it again for the y. So for the x, the midpoint is negative 1.5 minus the endpoint was 3. So you take your calculator, and I really encourage you to use your calculator on this because of all these negatives. Negative 1.5 minus 3 is a negative 4.5. Then you take your midpoint, negative 1.5 plus whatever we just got, which was a negative 4.5. I know I don't normally like double signs. Just work with it today. It'll be okay. Negative 1.5 plus a negative 4.5 gives you a negative 6. Okay, so the x value of this missing point is a negative 6. Then we do the same thing for the y. So my midpoint y is 5 minus my endpoint y is 6. 5 minus 6 is negative 1. My midpoint y is 5 plus the answer I just got was negative 1. 5 plus negative 1 is 4. So my missing endpoint is negative 6 comma 4. Same thing over here. You're going to take your midpoint, negative 7, minus your endpoint, which is negative 3. Negative 7 minus a negative 3 is going to be a negative 4. Feel free to put it in your calculator. Be careful with your signs. Back to your midpoint. Negative 7 plus the number we just got, which was negative 4, and you get negative 11. Then you do it for the y. Midpoint 7 minus endpoint 7 is 0. Midpoint 7 plus the number we got, 0, is 7. So my answer is negative 11 comma 7. Looking at number 7, midpoint of x is 2 minus endpoint is 4. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Midpoint plus what we got, which is negative 2. 2 plus a negative 2 is 0. That's your new x. Do it again for y. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. 1 minus a negative 1 is not 0. 1 minus a negative 1 is 2. So 0 comma 2 is your missing point. We went from 4 down to 2 down to 0, from 2 down to 1. No, it should have been. Hopefully you were watching and you caught that this right here should have been plus. So 1 plus a negative 1 is indeed 0. So my missing point was 0, 0. This is why you should use your calculators, okay? Everybody can make mistakes. Negative 7, let's see, negative, okay, let's start all over on this one. Going with x, 8 minus 5 equals 3. So 8 plus 3 equals 11. And then we do the y, negative 7.5 minus negative 9. As I said, negative 7.5 minus negative 9. When you have all those signs, go to your calculator, 1.5. So negative 7.5 plus 1.5. So once again, calculator, negative 7, no, clear that out, negative 7.5 plus 1.5 gives you negative 6. So 11 comma negative 6 is your missing endpoint. Okay, so that's the new stuff. You're also going to have some review stuff on your worksheet. Yesterday we talked about direct variation. Okay, it is direct variation if it is in the form y equal kx. There cannot be a y-intercept. You cannot have a constant down here. So is this a direct variation? No, because we have a constant. Is this a direct variation? Yes, because our constant is 0, which means there's not one. Is this a direct variation? No, because we have a constant. I don't even have to worry about getting y by itself on this because I can tell just looking at the number. And then what we did yesterday was you would start by putting it into your formula to figure out what your constant of variation is. So we're going to say 21 is equal to k times 8. Divide, so 21 over 8 is equal to k, and my equation is y is equal to 21 over 8k. Then put 24 into this new equation. That shouldn't be a k, that should be an x. Put 24 into the new equation for x. Y is equal to 21 over 8 times 24. 21 divided by 8 times 24 in your calculator, y is equal to 63. Y is equal to kx. They tell me that y is 18 when x is 30. Divide by 30. So 18 over 30, which will actually reduce, remember in your calculator, 18 divided by 30. And then if you will go math, enter, enter, it tells you it's actually 3/5. K is equal to 3/5. So my equation is y is equal to 3/5 x. Put 24 in for y, so 24 is equal to 3/5 x. Take your calculator, and it's 24 divided by open, 3 divided by 5, close, enter, and x is equal to 40. Also going to have some problems dealing with slope. Remember, if you have a graph, you can either pick 2 good points and do rise over run. We went up 1, we went over 3. that means that my slope is 1/3. It is positive because the line goes up to the right. If you struggle with that, pick your 2 good points. This is 0, 3, and this one was 3, 4. Take those points to stat, and that would work. When they give you points, you're going to go to stat, edit, put your points in. I've already got these in, 3, 12, and -2, 4. Back to stat, over to calc, 4 for linear regression, press enter, and all we care about is the A. Slope is 1.6. Remember, M is the letter that represents slope. When you have an equation and y is by itself, the slope is a number in front of x, m equals 4. If you have an equation and y is not by itself, you need to get y by itself. Move your 3x, so 2y is equal to 12 minus 3x. Divide everything by 2. So y is equal to 6 minus 1.5x. My slope is -1.5. Don't lose that negative. Okay, so that's a little bit of what you're going to be seeing on this packet. Yes, your assignment is long. Yes, I expect you to be working on it the entire time. Get all of today's done. If you struggle with the endpoint, don't panic. I'll help you with it on Monday. Work on the rest of it as well. You can do this. You've been doing it all week. When you get to the end of class, turn it in whether you're finished or not. It is due today. If you've been working hard, I'll grade what you've done. If I can tell that you haven't been working hard, either by the note from the substitute or the number that you've done, for example, you only did 5, you're going to get it back next week and you're going to have homework next week. So my suggestion is spend your time now working and then be done with it. Work hard, stay out of trouble, don't be talking, have a good weekend.